September 15, 1950, before dawn. Allied naval forces gathered off the western coast of Korea, near the port city of Inchon. Tides were extreme channels were narrow and coastal defenses appeared well-positioned. Most military planners believed an amphibious assault at Inchon was impossible. General Douglas MacArthur believed otherwise. He argued that surprise would outweigh risk and that speed would compensate for geography. The plan depended on precision timing, naval coordination, and air superiority. By traditional standards, the proposal defied logic. Inchon offered poor beaches, limited landing windows, and strong natural obstacles. Failure would trap landing forces against the sea. What MacArthur relied on was not chance. He relied on a system that could recover even if the operation failed. By the summer of 1950, North Korean forces had nearly overrun South Korea. United Nations troops were compressed into a small defensive perimeter around Pusan. Supplies were limited, and morale was strained. The North Korean army advanced using captured equipment and experienced veterans. Their system emphasized momentum and direct pressure. Once engaged, they expected the enemy to collapse. The United Nations system functioned differently. It relied on naval control air power and industrial depth. Even when pushed back, it retained flexibility. MacArthur understood that time favored the side with greater replacement capacity. A prolonged defensive fight would eventually stabilize. A sudden reversal could break the enemy system entirely. Inchon was designed to do exactly that. The battlefield reality surrounding Inchon was unforgiving. Tidal differences exceeded 30 feet, leaving mudflats exposed for hours. Sea walls restricted movement once ashore. North Korean commanders did not expect an assault there. They concentrated forces elsewhere along the peninsula. Inchon was lightly defended, but not undefended. The operation required coordination across sea, land, and air. Every element had to function on schedule. Delays would cascade into failure. Only a system with redundancy and control could attempt such complexity. The assault began with naval bombardment, followed by rapid landings as tides peaked. Marines scaled sea walls and pushed inland under covering fire. Resistance was disorganized and quickly overwhelmed. Air support isolated the battlefield. Naval forces controlled supply routes. Reinforcements arrived on schedule. The operation unfolded faster than North Korean command could respond. Communications failed, and reserves were misdirected. What appeared as bold maneuver was actually systemic execution. The United Nations system absorbed friction without collapsing. Small failures were corrected. Momentum increased rather than slowed. As forces pushed inland, the strategic effect became clear. Supply lines to North Korean armies in the south were severed. The offensive stalled and reversed. North Korean units began retreating northward. Their system had no depth to absorb disruption. Once momentum was lost, recovery was impossible. The same risk that threatened United Nations forces would have destroyed North Korean command if reversed. Systems determine who can gamble. Only one side could afford to fail. Within weeks, Seoul was recaptured and the Pusan perimeter was relieved. The war shifted from collapse to advance. Strategic initiative changed hands. The Inchon landing was not successful because it was daring. It succeeded because the system behind it could sustain loss, adjust quickly, and continue fighting. Risk alone does not win wars. In modern conflict, victory belongs to the side whose system survives failure. Inchon proved that audacity matters only when supported by depth. The landing worked because only one system could afford for it not to.